Well, I gotta say, I honestly didn't expect this to happen. But it would seem that the event of which I sponsored, Minds in Real Life, of which is being organized by the guys from Mythicist, is in the news. Because, as you may have heard, Antifa has been threatening the event, causing panic and chaos in the small town of Pittman, New Jersey, which is only about, I don't know, like 9,000 people. I've heard 8,000. But I want to address the first thing. While you see the story here in front of you from the Philadelphia Inquirer, I do think they get some of the details wrong, but hey, it is what it is. This is actually a fairly decent article, though maybe a little opinionated. It says, South Jersey Theater cancels event about race relations amid threats from anti-fascist protesters. That is my understanding, and the rumor circulating right now is that they threatened to burn it down. So I don't have, there's pieces of the puzzle, and there's certain things I can't say, but I'll go through the story and I'll read what they say. But I want to make one thing clear. To all of these, it's the weirdest thing. Pittman, New Jersey. You ever heard of it? Probably not. It's a town of like 8 or 9,000 people. I think in here they say it's 908,000, but I've heard other stories say 8,000. Why would we want to do an event in a small town out, in the south suburbs of Philly? It's a little bit out of the way, but it's South Jersey. I see so many people who are activists who are targeting the theater with this campaign. What they're doing is they're calling nonstop and claiming we're all of the worst things in the book and it's all fake. Why would we book in a place like this? Could it be because I live here? It's the craziest thing. I'm seeing conspiracy theories from people saying, like, why are they targeting our town? It's like, dude, because I live here. I don't live in Pittman, but Pittman's tiny, and there's a bunch of surrounding areas, and I live, like, technically walking distance to the town. I mean, it's a couple miles, right? But you could walk there. I think that's fair to say walking distance. So we decided to hold an event in my area. Like, it's a local event. And activists targeted it. And now I see these progressive activist groups saying things like, we will not allow this hate to come to South Jersey. I'm like, I live here. No hate. You're nuts. It's really weird. And I noticed one thing too, and you're gonna get a kick out of this one. It's a lot of white people. There's certainly people of color who are protesting, but I've seen photos of like some of these groups, and it's a bunch of like middle-aged white people. And I'm like, bro, why can't I have a conversation with conservatives and moderates and progressives about racism, violence, and authoritarianism? Why is that not okay? And the funny thing is, I kid you not, Antifa has threatened a theater for daring to host an event that is about ending racism, violence, and authoritarianism. Now, you can criticize us because we couldn't get the best speakers in the world. Again, I'm not the one doing all that. I'm admittedly just a speaker, and I helped sponsor the event. And so they ended up doing it in my area because I was like, hey, convenient for me, right? But that's the point. Sit down for a peaceful conversation while everyone's all going crazy in Boston. And Antifa decided, and these progressives decided, no one should be allowed to confront bigotry and racism. No one should be allowed to have a conversation about it. That's their opinion. They don't believe that a mixed race person should have the right to put on an event challenging these ideas. This is why you see why I don't like these people, because they don't see me as a human, and neither do the alt-right types. Now I get it. I mean, it's a little hyperbolic, but no, it's basically like I'm the bad no matter what. I'm either not white or I am. And because of that, I'm not allowed to talk about my experiences, and I'm not allowed to sponsor an event, and they'll come to where I live. These people don't live here. Some of them live further away than I do, and shut down my event. Okay, the event isn't shut down, by the way, but they try to. So I'll stress, the event is on, full steam. Like, I don't, forget what everyone's saying. They're going to try and claim, haha, it's canceled. It's not canceled. That's ridiculous. We have a battle in front of us. It's surprising to me that this happened. None of us thought it was going to happen. But, I made a longer video about it. Let's read the story. Let's go through the story. I don't want to dilly-dally. But for those that are curious, irl.minds.com is where you can find more information about the event and the agenda. Things we're talking about, like prohibition amplifies problems. corporate corporate American activism, comedy online, how to admit when you're wrong, political violence. Like, we're literally addressing these issues. And boy, oh boy, do we have progressives. We have people part of the Young Turks Nation. Oh no! Oh, they're calling it an alt-right event. Oh, okay. Just go ahead and drag the people who aren't white and the people who are literally progressives who host progressive events and shows. And congratulations to all those people who are progressives. This is the insanity of it. The mayor of the town gave a statement where he said it does appear to be hosting both sides of the political debate and people from all walks of life. So you literally have this instance where Antifa and other progressive groups are doing everything in their power to stop an eclectic group, a diverse group of people from sitting down. And that's what the mayor said. The mayor said it was a diverse group. I certainly think so. I got to admit, it's really, really hard to book people, from the progressive side of things. But there are good people on that side who are willing to have a conversation, and we found many of them. And they have all of my respect for coming down to have the conversation. Let's read the story. The Philly Inquirer reports, following a social media firestorm and threatened protests, the Broadway Theater in Pittman has canceled a controversial event about race relations that its organizers said was aimed at combating racism, violence, and authoritarianism. Congratulations, Antifa! You've stopped people who wanted to talk about how racism was bad. Oh, are you upset that some of our speakers were controversial? Yeah, because, maybe whatever your opinion is, they should be challenged in front of others. And we should come together into a room and say, I disagree. And they'll say, I disagree back, and we'll have a conversation about it. Do we expect to change everyone's mind? I don't know. Not really. People don't want to change their mind. But I'll tell you this. One thing you absolutely do break down is when people look into each other's eyes, it becomes increasingly difficult to actually hate that person. I remember I was at one of their events in Milwaukee, and I was on stage, and I was backstage, and I was talking to some people, and I didn't know they were like social justice progressives, and we had a great conversation. And then I heard them on stage, and I was like, "Wow, we got along great." And that's what it's all about, right? It's really hard to be like, I mentioned that Heineken commercial, and everybody went to go see it, I guess. But it's where you have these two people who completely disagree. They work together, and in the end, they feel so bad because they have so there's pre-recorded videos, and they say disparaging things like, "Oh, people who are conservative, bah," and then all of a sudden they make this friend, and they're drinking. They're all happy with their accomplishment, and then the video plays, and it's like you made a friend and you just insulted them to their face, and you feel bad. So we're like, let's do this. Let's bring some people in. Let's read. They say, the one-day conference sponsored by Minds.com, a cryptocurrency social networking site, has been scheduled for August 31st at the nearly century-old theater, where Bob Hope and Bing Crosby once played. The lineup included 20 speakers, most of them white, yes, because most of this country is white, I might add, and our proportion of white to non-white is actually fairly close to representation of the country, although we definitely, could have done better. Don't get me wrong. We had a lot of Asian people. I don't know if that's how that happens, but they say, and organizers said it was designed to bring together a diverse group of people with differing viewpoints. An after party was also planned at another venue. The event organizers said they hope to hold the forum at another location in the region. No, my understanding is that even in this story, we are going to be holding the event at that theater. And I assure you this, I live here. I will be in Pittman. And I say this now to these groups. No matter what happens, first of all, on August 31st, we will be in Pittman. That's a guarantee. Absolutely. Just trust me on that. But I will say this. I live here. You want to come to my house? You want to bring this to where I live? I'm not going to your town. They claim the Proud Boys are invading their space. This is where I live. You invaded my space. You smeared us. You're trying to shut down where I live and where I want to speak and who I want to speak to. Yeah, you are the baddies. But I'll tell you this now. I live here. You know what that means? It means no matter what happens, after August 31st, I will be in Pittman as frequently as possible. And I look forward to making several announcements and letting everyone know I'm going to invite my friends and we're going to mill about town. We're going to eat there. Why? Because it's right by my house. And they got great food, by the way, great businesses and a lot of good people. But these activists, they are insane. They're lying. They're smears. There are threats and they won't win. So I assure you, Pittman is now going to be like, look, I live fairly close. and I found a new place to hang out. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to defend my right to be where I live. I'm going to defend my right to go somewhere that is close to where I live and enjoy the local businesses that represent my area. So I'll be there all the time, and I'll invite my friends, and I'll let everyone know every day where I'm going to be, because I live here, and I can't say that enough. This is not an instance of someone just randomly showing up to this town. This is me trying to find something where I live so we can have our own small town private thing, and these outside forces are trying to butt in. Congratulations. They claim they're only defending themselves from the Proud Boys. But that surely must be a joke. Threatening a venue where you don't live? Where I live? These people are full of it. Let's read. In recent days, controversy surrounding the event escalated, and its planners said they had received threats of violence from anti-fascist protesters known as Antifa. No Hate NJ launched a telephone and social media campaign urging the theater to cancel the event. The venue's Twitter account was hacked for several hours Friday, and a message was posted that it had been taken over and extorted the theater, saying, if you don't cancel this, we won't give your thing back, your Twitter account. A theater official said Tuesday it was not known who was responsible for the hacking. It said No Hate NJ on the hacked profile. So we issued a statement. I made a video about it, where, as you know, let me just read this, because you don't got to get my I'll just read. We had a discussion with the event organizer over the weekend, Daryl Blood, the theater's business manager, said on Tuesday. It was mutually decided that the Broadway Theater would no longer hold the event. My interpretation is that is not correct. That is not correct. Blood declined to further comment on why the event was scrapped. Mayor Russ Johnson also confirmed that the gathering would not be held at the theater located in the borough's revitalized downtown district. Well, Mayor Russ Johnson is completely wrong. Completely wrong. Because I assure you, we have plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, etc., etc. And then, when I proposed plan B, they said, a B? What about like plan 1 and plan A? I'm kidding. Johnson said he was working with the police department amid threats of violence and protests, including one to burn down the theater. That's the stuff I won't tolerate, he said. Bill Ottman, co-founder of Minds based in Wilton, Connecticut, said planners were considering their legal options to force the theater to live up to its agreement to host the gathering. A party at the Human Village Brewing Co. in Pittman will go on as planned on August 31st, he said. We're going to be in Pittman. And if that means I will be standing outside by myself, so be it. But we're going to be there. And Human Village Brewing Co. is one of the coolest fit places I've been to. And their attitude is remarkably... I'm trying to be careful, because the Human Village people are amazingly good people. They're smart, respectable, kind, understanding, and I don't want any undue, things thrown their way like the theater is getting. But I will stress, one of the coolest places I've been to and some of the coolest places I've ever had the privilege of talking to, the Human Village Brewing Co. So I've got a new place to hold my my events, and it's gonna be a good time. I don't want to cause trouble, man, but this is where I live. You know what I mean? If I want to hang out at a local business, I'm not gonna let anybody stop me. I am allowed to express that I want to go hang out in a place by my home and service local businesses. Ottman said he is also searching for an alternate venue nearby for the conference. He said the invited speakers represent a broad spectrum of political views. I totally respect and understand if people disagree with some of the people's ideas. No one is endorsing anyone's views. I guess you can just trust us that we have plan B, C, D, E, F. Yeah. We have a plan Z. Like, it's I can't explain it yet unless I absolutely have to, but it would be probably the craziest and coolest thing ever. Our worst case scenario is actually maybe one of the coolest things that would ever happen. But it's like, I have a plan that will end up being the coolest event ever. And so many people would be upset if they missed out on it, if that's the case. But I don't think it's gonna happen because they have plan Z. But it would be nuts if we did. If we had to do it. So here's the thing. Our plan Z can't be stopped. Literally can't be stopped. There's no cancellation. It's completely within my personal control to make something like this happen, and it would be hilarious. But let's read on. They say Daryl Jenkins, executive director of One People's Project, an activist group in New Brunswick, New Jersey, called the lineup of speakers the worst of the worst. That's a joke, right? You know, the worst guy we have is Count Dankula. And Count Dankula is so far from the worst of the worst. He's just an edgelord. He made a silly YouTube video and everybody got mad. And most people liked it. Yeah, it's got millions of views. It's been shown in comedy clubs. Some people thought it was in poor taste, but for the most part, it went viral for a reason. It was a funny joke. You can find it in poor taste, but you know this. When it comes to someone like Dankula, he was just some dude who made a video for his friends. It wasn't supposed to be an explosive public event. And that's the worst we have is a guy who made an offensive joke. George Carlin, please. They had Ann Coulter. George Carlin performed at the theater 10 years ago. Ann Coulter was there 10 months ago. The worst of the worst. You should listen to what Ann Coulter said in her presentation at the theater. It's available. You can download. I downloaded it. Ann is bombastic. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. You know, I disagree. Okay, but she was so far beyond what we represent. Among the announced speakers, some of whom come from Canada and Australia, are Tim Pool, who became known for his coverage of Occupy in 2011, but now describes himself as a disaffected liberal on Twitter. Oh no, Occupy Wall Street. Lauren Chen, a contributor to conservative websites. And Josephine Matthias, the only black speaker on the agenda, who has posted against the Philadelphia LGBTQ flag, saying sexual orientation does not equal race or ethnicity. But that's a true statement. It is, right? I mean, they're different things. That's just a statement of fact. Another speaker, conservative writer Andy Ngo, wrote in the Wall Street Journal in July that he suffered a brain hemorrhage after being beaten at an Antifa demonstration in Portland, Oregon. Certainly, a gay Vietnamese journalist who is beaten by far-left extremists should have a conversation and explain his experience to us, right? He is a person of color, a minority, a child of immigrants. He is part of the LGBT community. Why was he not allowed to engage in this space? Well, you want me to tell you who the bigots are? They're alt-right bigots. They exist. Certainly not us. We're the people who are upset about that. We're upset about the racial identitarians, and it was the racial pro-violence, pro-racist left that shut us down under the guise of fighting racism. But I assure you, what they really did was stopped people like Andy Ngo from explaining why getting beaten was a problem. And the craziest thing about this, I'll stress again, is the mayor. The mayor of the town saying the event was representing both sides. Congratulations, Antifa. Congratulations, Democratic Socialists, activists, and progressives from South Jersey. You've stopped a bunch of moderates, progressives, conservatives, and some controversial figures from sitting down to stop the violence. And there you go. It's what you wanted. Congratulations. There are no Proud Boys here. We invited no white supremacists or white nationalists. Oh, they'll lie and say, but they are. Secretly. Yeah, no, please. Right, you know, Sargon of Akkad is controversial and offensive, but the alt-right absolutely hates the guy. Just completely. Let's read. They say, New Jersey doesn't tolerate this kind of activity, Jenkins said of the conference, which he said promotes intolerance. These are not the ideas that are beneficial to our society. Daryl, I don't know if you live here. Maybe you do. I think you're in like Camden, perhaps. I live right by the venue. So you want to talk about what New Jersey does and doesn't tolerate? I live here. I'll say it for the 50th time. So please stay out of my neighborhood. When I'm trying to engage in a conversation to simmer things down, and you come and claim my home doesn't tolerate me, I take offense to that. Our civil rights and other civil rights and community groups also denounced plans for the gathering, saying it would promote hate and violence against minorities and gays. Andy Ngo is our headlining presentation was going to be from David Pakman, but the final panel was literally a gay minority who was beaten, and he was going to be explaining his perspective. Well, they don't like it because it makes Antifa look bad. So who do you think is trying to get the event shut down? It's Antifa. They even said it. That the police were talking about threats from Antifa to burn the theater down. Minds.com was launched in protest of Facebook and has been sponsoring events it says are intended to create dialogue among those on left and right. We don't want South Jersey being used as a platform for these far-right extremists, said Adam Sheridan of Cooper River Indivisible, a community group that helped lead the campaign against the event. For us, this is about community self-defense. Lies. This is my neighborhood. Mine. You're not defending anybody. You're attacking me. You are on an offensive against me and where I live. It is not self-defense. It is offense. You are coming at us with an attack. I live here. These people are detestable. Ottman blamed the controversy on what he called misconceptions about Minds, which was started in 2011. In July, the company was the only social media platform invited by Trump to the social media summit that excluded Facebook, Google, and Twitter. Well, you could frame that a little bit better. It wasn't so much that it excluded them, it's that he had a private meeting with many of those people before the event, and this was an event that was for people, not the companies. But he didn't invite Minds, but admittedly, Minds isn't part of the big three, right? I know what our mission is. We haven't done anything wrong, Ottman said. The focus on the event is ending hate. They say the event thrust Pittman, a community of about 9,800 residents, into the middle of a debate over free speech for a second time because Ann Coulter was there and they were protesters. And guess what? I live here and I'll be in Pittman every day. I will. I could walk there right now. I can walk right over there, sit down at a table and have a nice coffee. And so for anyone who's interested, I will stress again, while I don't live in Pittman proper, I am within walking distance of it. And it's small. It's like a really small area of space. So just so you know, I live here. You want to talk about self-defense? Well, what about my right to self-defense against you coming and invading where I live and shutting down the event I was sponsoring and going to speak at? We're a small town. We have other things to deal with, Johnson said Tuesday. Well, Johnson, I live nearby. It's one thing to be like within the proper border of the place, but you have to understand in these small jurisdictions, there are very few businesses, right? So as far as I'm concerned, if I can walk there, it's part of my local area. Would I want to walk there? No, not really, because it's like it's at that distance where it's like, oh man, you don't really want to walk that far. But a 5-minute drive, if that. Maybe more, maybe a little bit more, but it's close. It's close. They said the Broadway Theater opened in 1926, yada yada, it was reopened, yeah, we get it. Wow, this video turned out to be longer than I expected it, but let me just say one more time. Antifa, people who don't live here, are coming to my town and accusing and then claiming self-defense. Let me just end by saying this. They said the Proud Boys come to their town, Portland, and cause problems. We're not the Proud Boys. I made a video criticizing the Proud Boys because they're being convicted. They were convicted of that fight in New York City. I'm not the Proud Boys. Why is Antifa threatening to come to where I live and commit acts of violence against our event? Yeah. Keep your narrative. Whatever. I don't care. I live here. I'll be there. I will be there every day. I'll just walk outside. I'll bring my camera. I'll film it. I'll do a Change My Mind in Pittman. Yeah, I think I will. Next segment will be at 1 p.m. I will see you all shortly.